Bloodvein's always been my home. Like, it's where my heart is, right? Like as a kid growing up, I was taught my language by my great grandma, right? She was very stern on like, this is your home, this is where you belong, this is where you help your people and stuff like that, right? So that was instilled in me from like 2, 3 years old. These are where our ancestors were. This is where our great grandmothers were. This is where we were placed by the government many years ago. They thought they were placing us in these ugly spots. It's beautiful here, This is one of the best places to live.
There's a lot of people in the Indigenous communities that don't have access to a good quality mattress. It's a lot harder to get that up north in the remote and northern communities. The impact of this program is providing a good night's rest, essentially. Knowing that we're maybe giving the opportunity to an elder or children who have never had a brand new bed to wake up feeling refreshed and healthier because of that sleep is pretty important.
What I love about Bloodvein is the family and the connections. Everybody here is so loving and kind. It's just that a lot of them grew up in the cycles that their parents never got the help they needed, so the trauma just keeps continuing. Sometimes I used to wonder, how come those kids don't have what some other kids have? The work I do with True North Aid, it really boosted my self-esteem and theirs, because I see people were always wanting to come and help. It's just going to bring the people together. I know it's going to, because it's already happening. And now with this program of Good Night's Sleep, I know I've told a couple of elders and she said, oh, I always wanted a new bed. Some don't even have beds. When I went to ask them what's their condition, I sleep on a couch. So I know it's going to touch some hearts.
When you were there, when you were putting them together, and I was sitting there with the elder, and she was just happy, yeah. And one lady said, that'll get rid of my old bed, that's hard. So I'm glad, I'm really glad that you guys came out, and showed your commitment to the program.
Being in a community where there's always something dramatic or problematic happening, you rarely get any sleep because you're always in your mind. Last night, I just like lay down and was like, wow, you just enjoy the bed. You forget about for a slight moment, you forget about the troubles, because I just laid down and was like, wow, it's so soft. Oh my God, I'm falling asleep. Right? Sleep is very important for everybody. And last night I had the best sleep I had in like a year, so it was very good. So it's very, very good for our people.
Greetings and welcome to the 2025 Annual General Meeting for True North Aid. My name is Scott Harris and I'm Chair of the Board of Directors, and it's a pleasure to be able to join you once again this year to celebrate the work of True North Aid and its many initiatives. I'm pleased to be able to say that this year we have served over 165 communities across the country and met the needs of over 25,000 people. Whether it's in our pillar initiatives like Hockey Cares or Moontime Sisters or Work to Give, or whether it's some of the innovative work that's happening under our community initiatives projects, or whether it's through our settler conversations, we are pleased to be able to move forward the agenda of reconciliation and to respond to the individual needs of people across this country. I would be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to thank our many volunteers who make these projects a reality. Your passion, dedication, commitment to not only identifying needs but to responding to them makes a difference in so many lives. I would also like to take the time to thank staff for the leadership they provide to not only raise the funds necessary, but also to ensure that those funds are used to the best of their abilities. And finally, I'd like to thank our board members and our advisory committee members for their leadership to ensure that the organization continues to grow, to develop, and to become more and more responsive to the many, many needs that continue to exist throughout the country. In the coming slides, I hope you will take the moment to celebrate the individual successes that you see and to honor the many lives that have been touched. So once again, thank you for joining us and enjoy. Thank you.
Ane Sego. Segoli Tanse Wache. Hello. Bizna no Nishkosh. Makwa Dodam. Good work with Jishabam. I'd like to acknowledge that this welcome is being done in the territory of Goodawakway, or what people know as Kingston. This territory is a shared territory between the Anishinaabe people and the Haudenosaunee people. I'd like to welcome you to the organization known as True North Aid. True North Aid is an amazing organization that provides support for northern communities in Turtle Island, or what we call Canada now. This organization comes in a good way with a good heart and good mind. They don't come to tell communities what they need. They listen to the communities. The communities reach out and say, can you help us with this? For the communities know what they need. The communities know what they struggle with or what they thrive with. And the communities, the people in these communities know because they live in those communities. So I like to acknowledge the great work that True North Aid does. I'd like to acknowledge all the Indigenous communities throughout Turtle Island. And I'd like to acknowledge that, that as Indigenous people, we need to be proud of who we are. We're many nations that live on Turtle Island, and we need to be respectful and come in a good way with a good heart. And also acknowledge the work that True North Aid does for these communities. Miigwech Nongoa, have a good day.
Thank you, Paul, for your kind words and for your continued service, guidance, and support for the work we do at True North Aid. We've been incredibly grateful to have you as part of our Indigenous Advisory Council. Your insights on project applications have been invaluable, but more than anything, we are deeply grateful for your friendship. It's hard to believe now that I'm in my 8th year as Executive Director of True North Aid. The organization itself has been around for 16 years, 13 years as a registered charity. When our founder, Rachel Brown, first began this work, her goal was to provide practical aid not only to communities right here in Canada, but communities throughout the Arctic Circle experiencing poverty. However, it became quickly clear that the needs here within our own borders were immense. The organization's mandate evolved to focus solely on supporting northern remote Indigenous communities, communities that today still lack basic access to so many of the things that we all take for granted: clean water, food security, healthcare, housing, and more. Since 2017, I've witnessed hundreds of volunteers from coast to coast to coast embrace this mission. Countless organizations have stepped forward to support us, along with thousands of individuals, families, businesses, charities, and faith groups, all working together to support our northern Indigenous neighbors through the work of True North Aid. Importantly, the work we do is not directed by us. It is shaped by the voices of the communities we are called to serve, programming and activities that are developed in response to the needs and priorities identified by their leaders. And we are proud to work in close collaboration with them every step of the way. On a personal note, my life has been changed for the better because of the relationships I've built with Indigenous peoples involved in our organization. These relationships, the many conversations, and the privilege of visiting communities in the North have profoundly shaped how I see the world. The resilience and strength I've encountered in these communities continue to inspire me. At its heart, True North Aid is and always will be a bridge between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples, built on respect, learning, and mutual support. We are proud that as of 2023, our board reached 50% Indigenous representation, and now, as of today, we officially have a majority Indigenous board. I want to take a moment to thank Scott Harris, who has stepped down as chair after nearly 7 years in that role, 8 years in total. We are thrilled to welcome Irving LeBlanc Bing, former Director of Infrastructure and Water at the AFN, as our new chair. Bing has already brought tremendous leadership and expertise, and we are excited for what lies ahead. I also want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all our board members, to Bob, Steve, Kim, Jennifer, Rana, and Linnea. Each of you leads a busy life, and your commitment to True North Aid does not go unnoticed. Our activities continue to be reviewed and approved by our Indigenous Advisory Council, those most qualified to guide and direct our work. I want to express my deep thanks to our current council members who offer their wisdom and time. To Paul, Carrie, Linda, Leo, Kate, Mishkiki, and Christine. Christine especially has brought such depth of wisdom into my life and in turn into the life of the organization. Thank you. Behind the scenes, we have an incredible staff that keeps everything moving forward, building and maintaining relationships, supporting our northern partners, and rallying volunteers across the country. Thank you, Lisa, who manages our operations and holds everything together, to Marilyn, whose part-time support and finances comes with years of experience, to Amanda Amesi, whose heart and compassion shine in everything she does, to Ali Cooper, always friendly and reliable in her part-time support with admin and donor outreach, and to Bethany Sorichetti, who is truly an administrative powerhouse. We also welcome Kira, who has joined us through the Summer Jobs Program. We are so glad to have you on board. Due to financial constraints, we recently had to make the difficult decision to reduce our staff. I want to recognize Katie Koopman for her years of service, especially in reconciliation work. Her passion for education, bridge building, and lived example of settler allyship made a lasting impact. She is deeply missed. I also want to thank Lisa DeVetto, who completed a one-year contract helping to raise funds for True North Aid. Her experience and tenacity helped move us forward in critical ways. Thank you both, truly.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to present to you the 2024 audited financial statements for True North Aid. The audit was independently conducted by DBK Accounting Professional Corporation. The summary statement showed that the auditors did not identify any material matters that needed to be brought to our attention, and that they received good cooperation from management during the audit. The first statement that we will look at is the balance sheet. As you can see, it outlines our current assets, liabilities, and the fund balance or the equity. The formula is always the same. The assets equal the liabilities plus the equity. So at the end of 2024, our assets were $1,467,010. The liabilities were $648,152. And the equity at the end is $818,858. So the total increase in assets over last year is $120,536. I'd like to point out the line that has the arrow pointing to it, called deferred revenue, with a total of $605,072. We'll look at that on the next slide. Deferred revenue is revenue that's received over the lifetime of a project that's not been spent. And why is that important to you? We want to assure you that if you donate to a specific project and the funds are not spent within that year, that it will be carried forward and spent at a later date on that project. So we have 3 major projects and then one of our own. The first one's Hockey Cares, carrying a balance of $52,744. And Hockey Cares is a cultural exchange program created to foster positive relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous through their love of hockey. The second one there is Work to Give, with a balance of $9,017. Again, a program that offers inmates the opportunity to take part in meaningful work, and that is building structures that are then shipped to northern Indigenous communities. Moontime Connections, our third one, on a very large project with a balance of $519,014. Again, it's a nationally led, Indigenous-led project, and it ensures that there is access to menstrual products and menstrual education for Indigenous peoples. The fourth one there is a water fund, which is one of our stones, and it's funds set aside to assist communities with clean water or accessible water. Our last project there was filters, water filters provided to a school that was struggling with water. This is a statement of revenue and expenses, or profit and loss statement. The revenues for 2025 were $2,529,055. Most of that was spent on humanitarian programs, which I will go through briefly. The first one is the Community Initiatives programs, where we spent $579,128, and these support Indigenous-led projects that aim to create positive community-centered change. So they're applications that come in from the communities and are funded by True North Aid. The Community Supplies Program is that exactly, providing essential goods such as beds, bedding, school supplies, Indigenous authored books, baby supplies, and much more to communities where the costs are astronomical and sometimes just out of reach. The third grouping, the donor-restricted community programs, I just covered in the previous slide in deferred revenue. That's Work to Give, Hockey Cares, and Moontime Connections. The fourth is what we call education and outreach, and it supports reconciliation by encouraging and engaging non-Indigenous peoples to better understand the challenges faced by Indigenous peoples and communities. And this includes acting as a source of reconciliatory information for schools, organizations, corporations, anyone else that would like information on what we do and the challenges that exist. The next figure that I want to show you is the operating expenses, $197,273. That covers costs such as bank charges, software, office supplies, and wages. And I'd like to point out that this is only 7.8% of the revenues that we receive. So we carefully steward every donation and are careful about every dollar that we spend at True North Aid. The bottom figure showing a deficit of $190,433. That's the difference between the revenues received in 2024 and the programs that we funded in 2024. It was $190,000 more than what we received. This next statement is a statement of cash flows, and it's just showing how the changes in the balance sheet and income affects the cash at the end of the year. I won't go through each of those figures. They're pretty self-explanatory, but I will say that at the end of the year, we saw an increase of $102,131 over 2023 in our cash and cash equivalents. This chart is to give you a visual of how much was donated by each donor throughout the year. So just some interesting statistics. 27.8% of our donors gave between $0 and $50. 32.4% gave between $51 and $150. 24.2% gave between $151 and $500, and 13.4% gave between $501 and $5,000, and 2.2 gave more than $5,000. So We want you to know that every dollar we receive is greatly appreciated and valued by us. We have monthly donors that give 60 cents a month, and they are faithful to our mission. We have individuals and corporations that give thousands of dollars, and they are also faithful to our mission. We're so grateful for each and every gift, regardless of the amount, and I hope you can see that on the chart. And thank you as you help us help the remote communities. This chart will give you a visual of the revenues that we receive year over year. And you'll see that 2024 is significantly higher than 2023. However, I'd like to point out that of the almost $2.8 million received in revenue in 2024, 1.8 million of that was for our restricted programs such as Moontime Connections, Work to Give, and Hockey Cares. So, in fact, the funds that we had in the general fund decreased in 2024. So, our non restricted funds in 2024 saw a decrease of $364,827. So that means we had that much less to spend on community initiatives programs and on our supplies, etc. So while it looks like our revenues increased significantly, they were for specific. Much of that increase was for specific donor restricted programs. This last slide will show you individual gifts per year. So if a monthly donor, their count in here will be 12. So it's individual gifts, just to give you an idea. So in 2024, we saw a slight decrease in the number of gifts that came in of 782 gifts, or 9.5%. Less gifts in 2024 than we saw in 2023. But in summary, I want to say that we are still doing okay. Most charities are experiencing a decline in their giving. It's just the way the economy is right now. But we would like to, in summary, say that we want to express our gratitude once again for your faithful support, for sharing what belongs to you with others, for walking beside us, and for showing us how we can continue to support Indigenous peoples in the North. Thanks for all you do.
We are always happy to set up custom fundraisers for corporate events and initiatives. We have flexibility in our platforms, and we can take care of setup, tax receipting, and outreach. One such example in 2024 was with Turner and Townsend, who set up a fundraiser for True North Aid using a unique format. Turner and Townsend Global Games is an annual well-being and fundraising event for employees globally. It encourages employees to get active, participate in various sports and activities, and raise funds for local communities. The event is typically a multi-week event with various activities like hikes, walks, and team sports. All donations raised by employees are matched by Turner and Townsend. In 2024, True North Aid was chosen to be the recipient of these donations, with employees raising over $5,000, which was matched by the company. We are very grateful. There were many other corporations with unique ideas and programs that supported True North Aid in 2024. We thank them all. We continue to be in awe of the creative ways Canadians support each other. This past March, a group of birders tackled the Wapask Trail in search of rock ptarmigan, a species considered by most Ontario birders to be nearly mythic. There is, of course, no guarantee of finding the species, but the trip's overarching goal was to blaze some form of path for future winter birding expeditions to the area. Since the group would be passing through the communities that build the ice road year after year, they can think of no better way to show their support than by fundraising with True North Aid. Over $1,000 was raised through this peer-to-peer initiative. Not only did we learn a few things about birding, but we were very grateful for the group's generosity and intent to give back. While large corporate donations and grant funding is incredibly powerful for the work we do at True North Aid, our monthly donors are near and dear to our hearts. We have many monthly donors who have been with us from the very beginning. Even those giving as little as $5 a month are making a difference. They are the backbone of our grassroots efforts. One such donor, we'll call her BW, is now 96 years young. She has been in frequent contact with True North Aid. Every time she connects with our team, she has a lovely message to share. Spring will come. Keep well. She signs off as a friend to all with a smiley face emoji. Over the past 12 months, BW has increased her monthly amount of giving twice. She reaches out and gives what she can to help. In her latest communication, she kindly said, "I'm glad I can help at this time, and I certainly hope others will follow, as it's so important to help others." We love connecting one-on-one with donors when we have the opportunity, and we truly value each and every one.
Hey everyone, it's Amanda MS from True North Aid. I'm the outreach manager and I've been with True North Aid for about 7 years now. Started off as a volunteer and now I am working in this role. I love my job and the wonderful people that I get to connect with on a daily basis through northern and remote communities. And so I'm really excited to share with you some program updates from 2024. So let's get going. So here's a quick overview of the 2024 impact that you guys had. Last year, we shipped over 100,000 pounds of supplies, which included menstrual supplies, Lego, back to school items, and beds. We supported over 160 communities and 25,000 people all across the North. And so we're thank you so much for your participation and helping us reach these goals this year. All right, first off, we'll start off with our supplies programs and Northern Reads. So last year, we delivered over 3,000 books to schools and community literacy programs in 15 communities across the country. And so this just adds to our total that we worked with over 40 communities since 2022. This year, we also worked with Strong Nations, an Indigenous-owned company out of Nanaimo, BC. And so they work on bundles for First Nations, Inuit, Métis specific. So they're working with authors and curating these books for the local nations across the country. So communities were able to pick what books they'd like as part of these bundles, or send me a list of what they would like to read in their community. We had one community that requested several copies of different books from Inuit authors so that they could read it together as a class. We also had another group in Newfoundland, in Hopedale, Labrador, and they brought it as part of their Inuit book selection. So lots of different books are sent out. Majority of them Indigenous authors. Strong Nations also publishes their own books, and they added some of their books into the collections for these schools. So we're really happy to continue this program and promote Indigenous literacy across the North in these communities. Another one of our programs that you might recognize from past years is our Back to School program. And so last year we worked with Indigenous Reflections out of Winnipeg, Manitoba, a family-run business, an Indigenous-owned business there. And so we worked with them to get school supplies out to 14 different communities across the country, as you can see. And so we were really grateful to work closely with Indigenous Reflections to do curated backpacks for high school students and elementary students. And so last year, 1,789 backpacks were distributed to 14 communities in 6 provinces. That's 6,089 pounds of school supplies shipped to these communities. So we're really grateful to work with Indigenous Reflections in curating a nice kit for back to school. Another program that I'm really excited that we launched last year was our One Pallet, One Community program. So that launched back in May of 2024. We get lots of requests from businesses, schools, churches, service clubs who want to make a difference. They're not sure where to go. And so we created this program to help support the needs in the remote north and bring together a community in the south. And so One Pallet, One Community sent out 8,806 pounds of aid. And so a lot of the supplies that are requested from communities that sometimes we just don't have the capacity to fulfill without help from people like those that participated in the One Pallet One Community initiative. So they send out supplies like hygiene, school supplies, baby supplies, as you can see here, some winter clothing and other sports equipment. So again, since last year, 17 collections have happened, and thanks to people wanting to work in grassroots organizations to get this stuff up north. So we're continuing this program again this year. So if you're wanting to help support northern communities with basic necessities and needs, give me a call or an email. That works out too. Last year, we relaunched one of my favorite programs that we've ever done is a good night's sleep program. We worked with Silk and Snow, a box mattress company, a Canadian box mattress company, to send out beds to 8 communities and to a total of 200 beds, which supported over 300 people across the north. So here are some happy faces who have received their beds. Like I said, 8 communities across the north. It's really difficult a lot of the time to get beds in community because of the sheer size of them, how expensive they can be and cost prohibitive, the cost of shipping to get up there. There's not a lot of options as well in the northern stores. So we were able to work together with Silk and Snow to get these box mattresses up to community, and 300 people are having a good night's sleep now. So again, we're really proud to provide this as basic necessity to communities so that people can have a good night's sleep. Now we'll get right into our community initiatives program. And last year we helped complete 24 different initiatives across the north. So what happens with this program is that community champions come to us and say, "Hey, I want to run a bunch of cultural teaching. Maybe this ribbon skirt making, or a school trip, or an exchange, a cultural exchange between Haida Gwaii and Klemtu, or on the land programs and food sovereignty." And so they might not have the resources to be able to run these programs, and a lot of them are grassroots. So people that just want to make a difference in their community have the resources to do so, but maybe not so much the monetary resources to run these camps and or other programs. And they're again all grassroots, all community-led programs, and that have changed probably the lives of so many different people. So kudos to all the people in the north that really want to champion their community and make it a better place. All right, so here are some of the projects that happened last year. As you can see, there's some school trips in there. There was a songwriting and video creation video in Wabaska, Alberta for their culture days in September. So we worked with Nuwajinan to bring those video skills into community. Like I mentioned before, a cultural exchange between Klemtu and Haida Gwaii First Nations on the coast of BC. We also worked with the fiddle program again and some other music programs in communities, specifically in Saskatchewan. And so one of the programs is that the students had a virtual teacher that lived in Saskatoon. The community was up in Green Lake. And eventually, once the program was done, they actually went down to visit their music teacher and got to learn a few more things and take a nice trip to Saskatoon as well. We also helped fund the WeCU trips to Vancouver with the Valentine Project, worked with Sleep in Heavenly Peace to build bunk beds for Detaskwayak First Nation up in Manitoba. Casilogenic workshops was a steel skin preparation and making in Hopedale, Labrador. As you can see, lots and lots of different ones. A youth skills program and technology, supporting baby supplies and getting those into community. We worked with a few different organizations that were already doing the work and wanted some more supports and help for new babies in community. And so, like you said, a lot of these are community-led, grassroots initiatives, and we're really happy to be part of this and help with the community champions. I wanted to share this slide to show you what communities are saying about the work of True North Aid and the supports that they're receiving. I'm happy that we are considered supportive and life-changing at times, that we are filling in those gaps in community and helping those grassroots initiatives or just obtaining the basic humanitarian support. So again, thank you so much for being part of that with us and supporting these initiatives that come to us from community members and again, grassroots. So thank you again so much. I'm going to get right into our reconciliation programs now. Our reconciliation programs were led by Katie Koopman, a dear friend of mine, who unfortunately is no longer with True North Aid. However, I do want to share the incredible work that she's done last year and through the reconciliation programs. So first off is the reconciliation walks that were held in 5 different locations in Ontario and had 1,165 participants in total and 80 volunteers, which is a mass undertaking for them. This was all in partnership with the village at Black Creek in Toronto, the Cataraqui Conservation Authority in Kingston and Brockville, the Rotary Club of Guelph, and Matawa First Nations. So they all participated, ran, and led these reconciliation walks in their communities. What the reconciliation walk was a guided tour through a forest or walkway or somewhere in nature that had stations put up about the residential school history and our history in Canada. And so it was a nice reflective walk for people to partake in and maybe learn something new about residential schools, or maybe that's the first time that they've come into contact with about learning about the residential school history within Canada. Another reconciliation program that we worked with was the Settler Discussion Series, which brought 124 people together to discuss topics like privilege, land, residential schools, and allyship. So a lot of content was given beforehand, but also during the discussions. And we hope that people came away with something new and can forward their reconciliation journey. As well, we ran a Taste of Indigenous Canada events in Edmonton and Kingston, which included keynote speakers, markets, music, and dance. So we brought them all together to learn something about Indigenous culture within Canada, maybe to appreciate it through art, through dance, through music. And so that was held 2 times last year in Kingston and Edmonton. Finally, we held a month-long author series with various Indigenous authors that you might know, which include Drew Hayden Taylor, Helen Knott, and Alan Sillaboy. This was part of a fundraiser for the Northern Reads program and helped engage people and get to have a discussion with these 3. It was a great event. Lots of people attended, and we were so happy to be able to host these wonderful authors. So next off is we're going to hear from Moontime Connections, Nicole White, Robert Ritwich with Work to Give, and Sue Heddle from our Hockey Cares program. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope that you found this stuff inspiring and maybe be part of our movement in 2025. Thanks so much.
Hi there, my name is Nicole White. I'm from Treaty 6 Territory and the founder of Moontime Connections. Before I get started, I wanted you to know that Moontime Connections is on the front line supporting emergency efforts in both Saskatchewan and Manitoba. In the last 2 days, volunteers have been hard at work delivering menstrual products to evacuees in 3 communities in Saskatchewan alone. This is a scary time, and we are proud to support our northern partners in their time of need. We're so grateful to share a few of our highlights with you all, as 2024 was a monumental year for Moontime Connections. It's my honor to introduce the small but incredibly mighty team behind Moontime Connections. Along with myself, I'm the founder. We've got Veronica Brown, who's our Education Director and Ontario Chapter Lead, Janessa Roy, our Education Coordinator and Manitoba Chapter Lead, Neha Menon, our Community Outreach and BC Chapter Lead, Kat Cooper, Communications Manager, Karen De Silva, our Social Media Coordinator, Murray Unger, Distribution Logistics, and Madison Morrison, our Program Support Team member, and Heather Lane, our Data Analyst, who supports our research work. Throughout our work, we've known for some time that the same barriers affecting menstruators across the country are amplified for menstruators in the North, and that they're also facing additional unique barriers to access, including lack of choice or availability. In March of 2024, we released our first ever research report featuring groundbreaking data and insights into the experiences of Northern Indigenous menstruators to demonstrate and quantify for others what we were seeing. A second round of research is already underway, developed in partnership and collaboration with Dr. Lisa Smith at Douglas College, and our next survey will be distributed this summer. This research was made possible by the Shoppers Foundation for Women's Health. We're grateful to be recipients of funding from the Shoppers Foundation for Women's Health for the 3rd year in a row, whose support has been instrumental in helping us expand our reach and impact, including funding our research. In September 2023, Wage Canada announced Food Banks Canada would receive $17.9 million to fund a national pilot to address barriers to menstrual equity with two objectives: to test a national approach to distribute free menstrual products and to increase education and awareness of menstrual products, good practices, and period stigma. This has become known as the Menstrual Equity Fund Pilot, which Moontime Connections was honored to be a part of. Through this work, we were funded to upscale our educational programming and product distribution. Our education program is made up of three key components: working with trusted community members to develop nation-specific resources that reflect the oral traditions, teachings, and regional medicines unique to each nation; our Moontime Facilitator Training, a free 2-day online course that equips Moontime aunties and kin with the tools to deliver Moontime 101 presentations within their own community programming; and hosting period inequity presentations in urban settings to raise awareness about the realities of menstrual inequity in northern communities. We also teach the importance of breaking down shame and stigma surrounding menstruation and explore how traditional teachings and practices can support menstrual health. The role of men and boys is also highlighted, emphasizing how they can be informed allies and supportive community partners in fostering menstrual equity and cultural understanding. Finally, the program is also inclusive and accessible to members of the 2S LGBTQ+ community. Language is a key component in our education program. We're collaborating with language holders from various nations to translate presentations and print materials. To date, we've completed translations in French, Michif, Woodland Cree, Inuktitut, Anishinaabe-Moan, ASL, and Dene, and are currently working with a Mohawk language holder. Through this, MTC is working to support the revitalization of traditional languages. Language holds great power, and it is deeply powerful and meaningful when young people encounter words about Moontime expressed in their own languages. Since building and launching the program last spring, we have trained 119 Moontime facilitators across 8 provinces and 3 territories who have already been making tremendous impacts in their own communities. As another pilot project requested by Wage, we also organized a cloth pad sewing circle in partnership with Help a Girl Out. We sourced, purchased, and prepared all materials, and we hosted 2 gatherings, one in BC and the other in Nunavik, the Inuit territory in northern Quebec. In both communities, we facilitated sewing circles with women and students, guiding participants through the process of making reusable cloth pads from scratch. The initiative aimed to support menstrual equity through hands-on skill building and community empowerment in remote regions. The ability to sew cloth and reusable products has enormous potential to help alleviate the stress of the lack of menstrual product accessibility for northern menstruators, giving them more agency over their Moontimes. Recognizing Moontime Connections' deep relationship with northern communities, Food Banks Canada supported MTC to oversee the distribution of $2.4 million of period products to remote and northern communities. This was huge in more ways than one. We were able to dramatically increase the number of products we provided to community partners and expand our reach to new communities. It also meant our small but mighty team would be dealing with enormous volumes of product and coordinating shipping to northern and remote communities from coast to coast to coast, a truly monumental feat. We worked closely with Food Banks Canada to develop a system for distributing the $2.4 million worth of menstrual products they purchased for northern communities. Thanks to the extension of funding, last year MTC was able to ship over 5 million menstrual products to First Nations, Métis, and Inuit menstruators across Turtle Island, addressing a critical gap in access for northern communities. We are deeply grateful to Food Banks Canada and Wage Canada, Women and Gender Equality Canada for invaluable support and for spearheading such a groundbreaking initiative. Between FBC product distribution and our community drives over the years, MTC is beyond proud to announce that we have now surpassed over 10.5 million menstrual products shipped to northern menstruators completely free of charge since we founded in 2017. And this includes the full spectrum of menstrual products, from pads to tampons to period underwear, discs, and cups. We prioritize and honor bodily autonomy. We offer it all and let communities request what they want and need. Together, the small but mighty team has shipped over 10 million menstrual products to 259 community programs in 192 communities, spanning all 3 territories and the provinces from BC to Labrador since 2017. Additional work this year included partnerships with Endo Events, Happy Pelvis, and the Endo Network of Canada, as well as the Water Justice Project and event in Winnipeg. Big thank you to the team of True North Aid for your unwavering support we're really excited about what we will accomplish in the years to come together.
Hi, my name is Robert Ritwich, Work to Give project lead. We're in a great collaboration and partnership with True North Aid, Movember, and the Correctional Service of Canada. 2024 into 2025 has been a great year for Work to Give. In fact, we've extended our funding with Movember through True North Aid. And we've signed a new 3-year contract where our focus has shifted a bit, but we will receive approximately $300K per year for raw materials, and be able to bring that raw material into the institutions through the Work to Give program, so that Indigenous individuals incarcerated in federal prisons in the Ontario region will be able to create the products that are identified by First Nations that we're working with, that are identified as needs. For example, last year in 2024, we were working with Wigwamkong unceded territory, and they identified the need for little tiny homes. They're about 10 by 16 tiny homes, and we've created 4 of them for Wigwamkong, and that will be part of a little tiny home village that they're going to call Mikanake. And Mikanake will be complete with a bathhouse that we're currently building at Collins Bay Minimum Institution right now. That Mikanake village, creating a new trail, as it translates to loosely, will service homeless individuals or individuals experiencing homelessness and living rough within the community. The bathhouse itself that we're currently constructing, like I said, will be a common area where individuals can go and do their laundry, cook their food, just sit and relax and build relations with other people that lived within the tiny home community. Another thing that we've been working with is Serpent River. Serpent River, last year we delivered a whole bunch of picnic tables and garden beds and bookshelves that were identified as needs for their band office and for their elders lodge. And we had a great ceremony up there where the regional deputy commissioner came down, Kevin Snedden, and he of Correctional Service of Canada, and he participated in a community gifting ceremony. We had a few staff from Work to Give up there as well, and we were able to share and celebrate the gifting of those items to community. And those communities, particularly Serpent River, will be able to put those items to use to make change for people in their community in the future. We worked with Atikamekw, which is just south of Sudbury. Atikamekw had a powwow last June, and we brought up 25 picnic tables to Atikamekw at that point so that they can utilize those picnic tables during their powwow. And I was so fortunate to attend part of the powwow there where individuals, I saw them gathering and feasting and eating Indigenous tacos and just enjoying the ceremony and community getting together. And so, sitting at the picnic tables creates that genuine atmosphere where individuals can express themselves authentically, and it's really healing, mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual to be part of that ceremony, a powwow ceremony, and have that place to gather and sit and chat with family. As of late, we've created and worked with Sagamok First Nation. Sagamok has identified that they require some dog kennels. So at Collins Bay Minimum, we've built and created and just delivered yesterday, actually, 2 dog kennels that will service the bylaw enforcement there, where Sagamok can home animals, res dogs, um, uh, animals that are in community that are usually in the elements. They can home them and house them in an appropriate place now by the bylaw office, which translates to individuals, fur babies, if you want to call them that, fur babies having a place, or if they get lost, they'll have a place where they can be sheltered from the elements because it gets quite cold up there in that region. And that we just delivered that yesterday. The community was quite happy. Guys from Work to Give program at Collins Bay Minimum institution came in and they tapped in via video conference. They got to speak directly to community and really see and observe and share the difference that they're making within community. And that's what Work to Give is all about. It's about creating that connection, identifying those needs, building the items, that whatever is identified by community as needed at that point in time, and then gifting those items and having the men who built those items really share that experience, which creates reconciliation, true, authentic reconciliation, and a sense of reciprocity in the men inside the institution. Work to Give is an essential program that helps facilitate an enhancement of the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual quadrants of each of the individuals that participate in the program. And for that, we are very, very appreciative and grateful to True North Aid, to Movember, to the Correctional Service of Canada to be able to facilitate a program like this that makes such a difference in everyone's life that it involves. The staff that participated at True North Aid, the staff that participated in Movember, the staff that participated in CSC, me in particular as the project lead for the Work to Give, but above all, the community members in community, having those resources, having those cultural tools, drums, et cetera, picnic tables to be able to utilize and make, a better environment, a more conducive environment to mental health enhancement, physical enhancement, participating in ceremonies, and overall holistic rehabilitation for the offenders that build it. It's a great experience all around. So we are very appreciative. Thank everyone at True North Aid. Thank everyone at Movember. Thank everyone at the Correctional Service of Canada. And we look forward to working with you over the next 3 years, making a difference, a true difference in people's lives. Thank you very much.
Hi there, Sue Heddle here, founder of Hockey Cares. I'm standing on the land of the Mississauga of the Credit in Treaty 22, and I want to say a huge thank you to True North Aid for always supporting us. Last year, 2024, was an incredible year. We did a double cohort. We brought youth from Attawapiskat and from Constance Lake First Nations, and we ran two exchanges at the same time. It was a first for Experiences Canada. It was a first for us. We formed a new partnership with Constance Lake because they had actually reached out to us because they had an epidemic of teen suicide up there and wanted to get involved with Hockey Cares and see how we could help bring hope to the youth. And it was a very interesting, wonderful experience getting the youth from not only from Oakville and Constance Lake First Nations together, but actually having the youth and from Constance Lake First Nations and Attawapiskat get together and talk about what they have that's similar on the reserve, what they have is that are different. And it was a very interesting exchange. It was well received by everyone. And when we went up to Constance Lake First Nation, they had amazing activities prepared for us. We did cedar paddle making, we did archery, we did some skeet shooting, we did preparing a moose, getting the moose hide ready. And it was really, really a great community. And we're looking forward to this year, once again, returning and experiencing more interesting things like building a fire. We had a competition with the kids, just got some flint and they learned how to make a fire with only the things they could find in the bush. So the activities were very well organized up there. And we look forward to partnering with True North Aid again, of course. We love you guys. We couldn't do what we do without you. And we look forward to playing together, learning from each other.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa, and I am the Director of Operations at True North Aid. I'm thrilled to share some of the incredible things happening at True North Aid in 2025. We're proud to officially announce the launch of the Irving Bing LeBlanc Waterkeepers Bursary, part of our new Waterkeepers program. This year, we'll award 4 bursaries of $2,500 each to Indigenous students from northern and remote communities enrolled in the Environmental Technician program at Canadore College. Access to clean water continues to be a critical issue in the North, and we believe meaningful change begins with education. Graduates of this program earn a Level 1 Water Treatment Operator certificate, and we're excited to support students working toward becoming leaders in water stewardship. Watch for the announcement of our 2025 recipients this fall. You may have already heard about Canada by Canoe, an extraordinary expedition launching in spring 2026. 3 young men, Will, Nolan, and George, will travel by canoe from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean, covering over 8,000 kilometers in more than 200 days. They'll pass through many of the communities True North Aid serves, making this partnership a natural fit. All funds raised through their journey will directly support our work, and we're honored to be a part of their story. We're also excited to be collaborating with Poca Loco, a Canadian fashion brand known for their ethical sourcing from local artisans around the world. This June, Poca Loco is donating 5% of sales from their O Canada collection to True North Aid. They're also running a fun and engaging online contest that's helping us reach a whole new audience. Be sure to check them out on social media and show your support. Our Community Initiatives program is returning this year, better than ever. After a brief pause to reflect and reevaluate how we serve northern and remote Indigenous communities, the program will relaunch in just a few short weeks with renewed focus and impact. We're also continuing our Back to School and Northern Reads programs this fall. We know that knowledge is power, and by providing students with the tools that they need, we help them start the school year with confidence and hope. And last but certainly not least, our One Pallet, One Community program continues strong in 2025. This initiative pairs northern communities that have identified a specific need with southern collectors who work to meet that need one pallet at a time. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and subscribe to our newsletter for updates on all of the exciting things to come throughout 2025. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us.
Greetings. Adi, Wache, Sego, Bonjour. My name is Irving Bing LeBlanc. I'm a Dawa from Quemkong unceded territory, and I'm the current Vice Chair of True North Aid. I thank those who have supported and continue to support the work of True North Aid, thus for those in Indigenous and northern remote communities. As we begin to see the effects of higher costs and the widespread serious wildfires, we will see that many in the northern and remote communities will begin to experience the effects of these catastrophes and cost increases. Our board and our hard-working staff once again are reaching out to you for your support for TNA to continue the work we do to meet the ongoing basic needs of many communities. The work realized through your generosity supports the basic needs of women, men, girls, and boys, our elders, and the LGBTQ2S community. Please open your hearts and help us do this much-needed support for our brothers and sisters. Please visit our website, truenorthaid.ca, and see the amazing work that's being provided through your support. Miigwech.